It's the fall of 1991 and the first day of classes at West High School, and I am terrified. I'm an incoming freshman, but that's not the only reason that I'm scared. For the last 9 years, from kindergarten until the 8th grade, I'd gone to school in my tiny country hometown, and it was very small. There were 15 kids in my class. We had 3 buildings. We didn't change classrooms. But my country school only went to the 8th grade, and after that, we would get bused over to West High School, which was gigantic. There's going to be 146 students in my grade. That's more people than was in my entire school. And during the summer, Mom drove me over to West to sign me up for classes, and I had no idea what that even meant. Didn't people just take the same classes? Turns out that's not the case. It also turned out that since I wasn't going to play football, I wasn't going to have any classes with any of my close friends because athletics had a different schedule. So for the past 6 years, literally every day for 8 hours, I shared a desk with my best friend, Jason. Now I was finding out not only would I not have any classes with him, I would have no classes with anyone from my close friends group. Mom could tell I was freaking out. She tried to tell me about all the new friends I was going to make, but I could tell she was a little worried too. Now it's the first day of school, and it is overwhelming. There are people everywhere, and they all seem to know each other, and I don't know anyone. We have a little orientation time before classes start, and this guy asks me what time I have ag. I don't know what he's talking about, so I just show him my schedule, and he laughs at me, and he says, "You're taking home ec?" He says, ag is where you go and learn about the rodeo stuff and how to be a man, and in home ec, they just teach you how to be a girl. He handed my schedule back, and he called me a bad name and walked off. And I thought back, and I remembered when I was signing up for classes, the counselor had asked me if I wanted to take ag shop or home economics. And she explained that ag is where they teach you about agricultural things, how to work with livestock and repair farming equipment and that type of stuff. And home ec is where they teach you how to sew and cook. Well, I live on a dairy farm, an 1,100-acre dairy farm. When I get home from school, I have to bottle feed baby calves and take hay out for the heifers. Last thing I want to do is that at school. That just sounded like more chores. So I opted to cook and sew. I didn't know I was going to get made fun of for that. And the day itself was an absolute whirlwind. Everything just swirled around me. I actually got to see my friend Jason once in the hall that day, and Jason had been playing football, so he'd been going to practices twice a day since the beginning of summer. He was having a great time. When I saw him, I just wanted to cry because I just wanted to go home. Now it's the last class of the day, which is home economics, the one I got made fun of for signing up for. And I walk into the room, and there are roughly 30 people in there. Blows my mind. That's like 2 classes at my old school. And 4 guys. There's me. There's a guy named Jonathan Roswell, and he had such a bad reputation, I knew about him even from my tiny hometown. And 2 guys in wheelchairs who I think have cerebral palsy, but everyone just acts like they're invisible, and the rest are girls. Luckily, there's one person in the class who I know from my old school. We had known each other since kindergarten. Her name is Becky, but I call her Toad because she's short and stocky and strong, just like Mr. Toad from Super Mario Brothers 2. And when I walk in, Toad sees me, and she waves, and she motions for me to sit behind her, and I play it cool, but I am so glad to see her. And I sit down, and a teacher comes out, and she says her name is Miss Upmore, and she has just graduated from Baylor, and this is her first year teaching, and she can't wait to get to know all of us. And so to help remember our names, she's going to pass out a worksheet, and she wants us to fill out our name, our favorite song, and what we hope to major in college. So she passes out a stack of worksheets, and when it comes to me, I take 2. And on the first one, I fill out my actual information. On the second one, I make up a fake student. Now, this is a prank that I like to pull in my old school whenever we had a substitute teacher. I'd make up a fake student and try to convince the substitute that person was skipping class or doing something they weren't supposed to. I found it hysterical. So I filled them out, and she took them back up. And then she stood in front of the classroom, and she started reading them aloud. And then she asked the person to stand up so we could all collectively say hello to them. I had no idea she was going to do this. Otherwise, I would not have made up the student. So she gets to the one that I made up, and she says, and next we have Mr. George Papard. That's the name I always gave to the fake student because that's the name of the actor who plays Hannibal in the A-Team, and I love that show. Next we have Mr. George Papard. George's favorite song is Me So Horny by 2 Live Crew, and in College, he wants to major in sex, and she kind of like says the last part slow because she knows it's a gag, but everyone dies laughing. Everyone dies laughing, and Toad swirls around at me and goes, Mark, because she knows this gag. She knows George. He's a bad apple, George is. But Miss Upmore sees this happen. I'll lock eyes with her, and she knows. She knows that I'm the one who just made her look foolish in front of her new class, and she ain't happy with me. But honestly, in that moment, I don't care if I made an enemy of the teacher because it feels like I made a room full of friends. And as the year goes on, I hate West more and more. I don't fit in at all, and I get made fun of and picked on for everything. I don't like country music, I get picked on for that. I don't like football, I get picked on. I don't like the rodeo, I get picked on. I've got long hair, I get picked on. I don't take ag, I get picked on. But in the home ec room, none of the girls care. They think it's kind of fun that I'm quirky and weird. They even braid the back of my hair, which I think is rad. Jonathan Roswell, the scary guy, he gets thrown into juvie, so I don't have to worry about him. The two guys in wheelchairs, turns out their names are Derek and Kent. They're super funny and love pulling pranks. It's just that no one ever talks to them, so we turn out to be pretty good friends. A lot of times they like to have wheelchair drag races in the hall, and they let me be their referee. It's a lot of fun. During the sewing module, that was kind of the highlight. During the sewing module, I made up a great new character who I called Kung Fu Sew. And I sewed myself a karate outfit, bandoliers with measuring tape, and I made a holster for my scissors so I could quick draw on people. And then I told everyone that George had commissioned Kung Fu Sew to make him an outfit. So I sewed George a pair of jam shorts, a tank top, and a headband. And Miss Upmore was very impressed with my sewing skill. She was less impressed with the fact that I stitched "Me So Horny" real big on the headband. But I tried to explain to her, that's George's favorite song. Then one day, me and Derek and Kent got into the home ec room really early. I think we were skipping our previous class just to hang out. We had a bunch of snacks with us, so we took our bag of Doritos, and we made a trail of Doritos, starting out in the hall by the lockers, and it snaked all the way through the home ec room and into Miss Upmore's office. And then we got a big empty cardboard box that we had found, and we propped it up on one side like that, and then we put a big pile of Doritos underneath the box, and we tied a string to the stick, and then we hid behind her door as if we were trying to catch a wild animal of some sort, and we waited on Miss Upmore to come in. Miss Upmore followed those Doritos and got into her office, and she asked, and she saw the setup that looked like it had been designed by Wile E. Coyote, and she asked us what we thought we were doing, and it was with as much seriousness as we could muster. We told her to, shh, we're trying to capture George, and he's a sucker for Doritos. She told us to clean everything up so she could start class, but she was laughing as she did it. Miss Upmore acted like she didn't like our pranks, but she always laughed at them. And now it's the spring of 1992 and the last day of class at West High School. And it turns out the year had been, more horrible than I could have imagined. Honestly, it was awful. I got into 2 fist fights that year. I won one of them, and I kind of lost the other one. But I ended up making some friends outside of the safety of the home ec room, but I know my parents would hate them because they smoke weed, they drink, they skip school a lot. They're real back of the bus people, Darren. They're real back of the bus people. But they like to fight, and they'll do it at the drop of a hat. And the Cowboys do not mess with us as long as we stick together. But honestly, I don't know if I can do another 3 years of this. Every day feels like it's a fist fight. But the home ec room has been the one place of solace. And the last module has been cooking. And I did way better than I thought I was going to do. In fact, I did so good, I didn't pull any pranks or make up any fake characters. I just did my work and had fun. And for the last day, Miss Upmore assigned us a big meal we were to make, and then we ate together. And she assigned me the main course, manicotti. And yeah, I ripped up a bunch of shells trying to figure out how to stuff them, but I eventually figured it out, and it turned out really good. But now the last bell is approaching, and I've got plans with my scary friends. We're going to pull some pranks on the seniors before last bell, so I want to get out of here as quick as possible. But I've got a sink full of dirty dishes that I have to finish before I'm allowed to leave. I'm trying to hurry and get out of here, but there's so many dishes. It's filled with dirty dishwater, so I turn on the disposal to hopefully make things go down, and as soon as I hit it, a metallic grinding noise starts, and I turn it off. And I plunge my hand down into that sink, into the dirty dishwater and half-eaten food, and I root around in the drain, and I can feel there's a spoon wrapped around the blades of that disposal. And try as I might, I can't get it out. It must have fallen down when I turned on the disposal. But I got to get out of here. I want to meet up with my other friends. So I keep rooting around. I get the water to at least drain out. And then I put the dishes back up. They're still dirty. And I straighten up my workspace so at least it looks okay, and you can't tell I destroyed the disposal, and I leave Miss Upmore a note. And on the note, I write, Miss Upmore, I really had a great year. Thank you for everything. P.S. George got a spoon stuck in your disposal. He says he's sorry. Have a nice summer. And I sprinted out the room. And that was my first and last year at West Independent School District. Thank you.